Hello everybody, welcome back to the shed and welcome to another little project video. What I'm going to be doing here is starting on a little side project. As you can see, this is one of those little Chinese dirt bikes which I acquired from a buddy of mine, Mick. So Mick, if you're watching, thanks very much. He gifted this to me. As you can see, it's in pretty poor condition. It was left outside for quite some time, so everything on this is corroded. The engine is seized. As you can see, the starter, the pull start mechanism doesn't retract, so yeah, the sprag in there is probably absolutely goosed. So yeah, there's absolutely no chance I can start this bike whatsoever. Bit of rust on the frame, all the plastics are broken, all the fasteners are, the tyres are flat, the forks are absolutely solid, they won't even compress. Brakes, well, to be fair, I mean that one actually does operate, but it doesn't. Everything on this needs pulling apart and having a good look. I reckon we can probably salvage the fuel tank though. Anyway, so yeah, this is going to be a fun little project. Yeah, let's get stuck in. Okay, so the aim of this is obviously to have a nice little pit bike at the end of it, but there's not going to be a great deal on this that's actually salvageable. But the good news is everything that you can buy for these bikes is freely available and absolutely dirt cheap. Now, the engine itself, I was having a little look around for piston kits, you know, rings and all that sort of stuff. And you could buy a piston set for this for like 10 quid. I thought that's incredibly cheap. But then when I looked into it, you can get an entire replacement engine with the carburettor and the gearbox as well for 55 quid. Which is absolutely stunning, you know. So for 55 quid, it's not worth me stripping this down to replace it. I might as well just bolt a new one in. And as you can see, it literally bolts in from underneath. It's pretty straightforward, and yeah, it's going to be that easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull everything off this, probably down to the frame. You can't buy a replacement frame for it. You would need to get a new bike. So I'm going to salvage the frame, clean up the rust because there's a little bit of rust on the swing arm and what have you. You know, treat all this rust, give it a coat of paint. And then obviously we can start putting new parts back on. You know, a set of forks was like 25 quid. A set of wheels with tyres, 20 quid. A rear shock absorber, 11.99. The brakes, front and rear, with the cables, 15 quid. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's and you know, why would I go to the effort of rebuilding all that when the parts are so cheap? So yeah, let's start getting the bits off, and then I can look at what I need to get. Okay, I think what we'll do, we'll start off by trying to get the bodywork off if we can. So we've got loads of like little screws like this which are all rusty. That side panel there is bolted to the fuel tank both there and then just inside. All of this seems to be all together. As you can see, this side panel here looks like it's come out of that frame. That frame mounting should be in that part of the subframe, so you'll probably just need welding back together. That's pretty straightforward. There's nothing too dramatic. And then the same on this side. Cut a screw there. There's a little Allen headed bolt there, but feeling it, it feels like it'll all come off in one go. So I'll start off by I think there should have been a bolt just in here next to this little ignition switch, which I don't have a key for, but I'll probably be able to get a replacement for that. Yeah, there's a little hole there where there should have been a bolt, so that one's obviously missing. But yeah, as you can see, it feels like it's all going to come off in one go. I've just got to figure out everywhere where it's actually fixed to the frame. So if I swing around here, that one there definitely needs to come out, so let's let's pull that one out. Not sure how well some of these fasteners are going to come out, because obviously there's a lot of corrosion in here, but surprisingly easily. Obviously you can see this chain of sprockets is absolutely toast. Things like the adjusters for the wheel, again all corroded. Right, where are we now? Just got to figure out now where it's attached to the bike. I'm actually struggling to see where it's fixed. Right. Right, what I'll do, I'll have a little look, figure out where the what fastener it is that's holding it to the frame at this point. I'll get it out, and then I'll bring it back in, and hopefully all of that will be able to be lifted off, and it should just be a case of disconnecting the fuel line, which is just here. There's the fuel line with a filter on, goes down to the fuel tap on the carburetor. So yeah, I'll figure out where this fastener is, and then I'll bring you back in a sec. Okay, what I've done is I figured out that what was holding it on was these little lugs here on the subframe. There's like little clips, you know, little lugs under there which slot in. I gave it a little tug backwards and it came out. But the fuel tank is then bolted to the frame just above the shock absorber. So if I take that out, the whole lot will probably come out as one go. Now I thought this fuel tank would be salvageable, but I've just discovered there is actually a crack in it, so that's not going to be any good. That's fit for the scrapper. So yeah, this bolt for the fuel tank at the back, and I reckon the whole lot will come out. Again, it's incredibly rusty, so I'm going to be careful to try and avoid rounding it. Okay, she's turning. Yeah. Yeah, good. Really long bolt, that one. Longer than it needs to be anyway. Yeah. Okay, I reckon. Yeah, there we go. So now, in amongst all the spider webs, there's a little clip which I'm not actually sure is doing anything on the bottom of the fuel tank. There we go. And that's that lot all pulled out. Now, like I said before, all this bodywork is freely available, saddles are freely available, the fuel tanks are freely available again as well, so I'm not too concerned about the fact that it's got a crack in it. It's all easily replaceable. So yeah, I'll put this all to one side and then have a look at what we're left with. Right, now we've got the bodywork off, you can literally see how simple this thing is. There's absolutely nothing to it really. It's a case of once you know, it's very, very modular and very, very easy to pull apart. Now this ignition switch, I'm not sure that's actually going to work. I don't have a key for it anyway, so it's largely irrelevant. I think the next thing we'll do is probably look at this exhaust. There's one big nut here on the silencer, and then that is it, other than other than where it bolts onto the cylinder head. So they are going to be that size. I've been lucky so far, everything seems to be coming undone quite easily, which is fairly unusual, especially considering the state of this thing. The ZX9R, some of those fasteners didn't come out as easily as this. obviously all these little fasteners will be getting replaced. Right, that one's hidden by the exhaust itself. Yeah, I think I need an Allen key for that, right? Yeah, because of the curve of the exhaust, it's covering this fastener. I'm struggling to get in there, so I think I'm going to have to use a regular Allen key on that one. So I'll go and grab one, and then we'll get this bad boy off. I'll get that bolt out, and then we'll look at this fastener at the back. Okay, that's both the exhaust bolts out. They came out fairly easily, to be fair. The one that was covered by the pipe was just a bit of a pain because I had to go and get a regular Allen key for that. Anyway, 12mm nut on the back. Looking at it though, I'm probably going to struggle to get it out without getting the engine out and the shock first because everything's in the way. And there we are. So that's the exhaust. Yeah. Once the engine's out, and this shock, it'll all come out, but it's very rusty as you can see, so that again needs replacing as well. In fact, yeah, I'll just wait till the engine's out for that. Instead of messing around with it. As you can see, but now the bodywork's off, it's fairly structurally sound. There's a little bit of surface corrosion, but nothing that won't clear up and paint, to be honest. That's the only real problem. But that's easily fixed. It just needs a riv nut in it, really. And maybe just a spot weld either side of it, and you know, it'll probably be fine. Okay, I think what we'll look at next is actually the engine, because this will all come out in one go. We've got the throttle cable up here, which again doesn't seem to be doing a great deal. Yeah, I think what we'll do next is get the engine out. Okay, there we are. There's the fuel line. It's actually wet, but it doesn't smell of fuel, so it's probably water. As I said, there was a crack in the top of the fuel tank, so that's probably been letting in water. And again, like I said, it was standing outside. So yeah, we've got a couple of little tie wraps here, which will just break. And then we've got all the electrical connections. This goes up to the ignition as well. I mean, the ignition can be bypassed. All it is a closing switch. There's only 2 cables there. So yeah, I mean, that's the ignition, and all it needs is that looping, and it'll work. That's all engine side. That comes from, where does that one come from? There's a little ignition. There is actually an ignition switch just here, which obviously should have a little cap of some kind on it. But what would that be? I'm not sure what that is, because this has not got a. Yeah, I don't even know what that little button is, because obviously it doesn't have a starter motor because it's pull start. So I don't even know what that is. And that comes from there to here and goes to, where is it going? Right, it's going down to, one side goes to ground and the other side goes down into this cover. I'm not sure. I'll probably take the cover off and figure it out. But we're not doing that right now. What we're looking at doing is getting the engine out. So, yeah, disconnect that, and then that's everything ready to come out on this side. We've just got to disconnect the throttle. And here is the throttle going into carburetor. I think actually I'm going to have more room up here to take that out, to be honest. So what I'll do, I'll take all these little screws out, and then we should be able to get to the end of the throttle cable and just disconnect it at that end. That's probably going to be our best shout on that one. Okay, with the fuel pipe sitting on the bench just here, you can see that that is water and not fuel. You can literally just see it. Yeah, it is water. It doesn't even smell of fuel. So I'm going to hazard a guess that the cylinder here has water in it as well. Or at the very least the carburettor is full of water, and if something's got through the carbon into the cylinder, it's going to be rock solid, and that may well be the reason why this has happened. It's literally just seized up solid. So yeah, so what we need to do here is get the throttle linkage apart. I'm actually quite impressed with how easily all of the fasteners are coming out. Now, obviously, these are all mild steel. None of these are stainless. It is a cheap Chinese bike, and it's made at a budget. But yeah, I'm quite impressed with it, with how everything's coming apart so far. There's a little cover. This little screw was just into in there. I'm not sure what that actually was intending to do, really, to be perfectly honest. Doesn't appear to have been doing anything. Unless it acts, actually, I know what it was doing. That acts as the throttle stop. Which is fairly Heath Robinson, but I suppose it does the job. Just here you can see how the throttle comes around. And obviously when it gets to that little nub, it can't go any further, and that is literally the throttle stop, which is incredibly novel. Right, what we need to do is get this cable disconnected. Just like a bicycle cable as opposed to anything else. Where is the actual cable? There it is. Right. So there we are, and then there's the cable up. We can take the housing off. Again, all of these are available to buy brand new. There's a little screw in there which should have been holding that in. But yeah, this is all available, again, brand new, incredibly cheaply, stupidly cheaply. So there we are. That's the throttle cable. I think what I'll do, I'll take this number plate off actually, because it's kind of getting in the way. And then what we can do is we can pull the throttle cable through, and we could probably get this brake cable off in exactly the same manner as the throttle cable. So I'll get that off, and then we'll look at probably we'll be in a position to get the engine out actually. Okay, as you can see, pulled all the cables through. I think what we need to do next is obviously get the chain off the engine before we can actually drop the engine out. And to do that, these adjusters are going to be solid, because the chain feels solid as well, to be honest. I think the best way is just to take the rear wheel spindle out, and then just take the wheel out, and then just unhook the chain off of it. See if that comes. Oh yeah, well, yeah. So here's this ignition switch. Let's come off, and to be honest, it doesn't really seem to be doing what it should be doing anyway, because that cable's broken off. It seems a bit pointless having an ignition switch on something like this anyway. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's not supposed to be like that, and that's come from there by the looks of it. Yeah, it's a bit of an electrical mess, but again, we'll sort that out later. Right, I think what we'll do, to be fair, is actually just turn this thing upside down for the moment, because everything else like the engine bolts and all that sort of stuff are underneath. And we'll turn it upside down like you used to your old BMX back in the day. There we go. So there's the 4 engine mounting bolts, and we can get to the rear wheel spindle. I mean, it does actually turn, which means that the gearbox isn't jammed up either. So I'd imagine the engine probably is, but the gearbox is turning free, so the clutch off of the crank is not seized. There should be a chain guard on this, and as you can see, one of the lower mountings is a little bit bent, but that's easily fixed. So yeah, there should be a chain guard over there, but it's obviously missing. Let's get this off. What size is that? 17? Yeah, 17. And then probably going to need a hammer to get that out, I reckon. Size of that side. 14. Right, so it spins freely. I reckon a good tap with a mallet, and that will come out. And then these wheel adjusters will obviously just move out of place. Right, so what I'll do, I'll go get a mallet and I'll give this a good whack out, and then we can get the wheel off. There's like a little spacer on the side of the wheel. There we go, there's the spindle off. And there's the 2 spacers. And there we are, there's the wheel off the chain. I mean, look at the chains literally staying in that position. It's well rusty. Again, a chain and sprocket kit for this is only about £8. It's absolutely insane. There's the other adjuster. Let's get the nut on, and then they're all together. Okay, now what we can do is we can undo the engine mountings. But yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll undo the engine mountings, and then we can literally just get the engine off the frame, and then we'll look at the shock absorber after that. So what I'll do, move all that to one side. I'll just crack them all off, and then probably turn it the other way up so that it's not going to fall out. So yeah, they're all coming out quite nicely, and they should be, because they seem to be covered in all sorts of something greasy anyway, so that stopped them rusting in. There we are. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll turn it over, and then we'll whip them out. Okay, so now that they're all loose, I can just whip them all out. One. Two. Right, before I get the 4th one out, I've just noticed that there is like another little engine mounting bracket just here, and I'll take that fastener out before we take the last of these bolts out. I didn't notice that until just now. And then it'll be a case of just lifting the engine out and just making sure that the chain's unhooked from the front sprocket. So that's for those 3 there. And then all I need to do is undo this one. Looks like an 8mm on that side. Nope, I was wrong. Doesn't look to be a 10, looks a bit small for a 10. Doesn't quite fit right, but I don't think. But seems to be working. Again, it's another bolt that seems to be overly long for its application. And there's a little spacer as well. And I'll stick that down there. Okay, right, now the last engine mounting bolt can come out. And there it is, there's all four. Put that back on there. These got little spring washers on as well. Little socket heads. Allen heads, should I say. And there we are. There's the engine free. So, just need to move the exhaust out of the way, which is just sitting here in the way. Unhook the chain from the sprockets. And there we are. It's a little bit cumbersome because this exhaust is in the way, but there we go. There is the engine. Let me grab the pull start. There we are. There's the engine. Tiny little thing. Weighs absolutely nothing. That's probably about 4 kilo, 5 kilos, I reckon. If I had to guess. I don't know if there's anything that's actually recoverable from this. It's possible that the gearbox is in good condition. I might pull the cover off that and have a look inside in a bit, and it may well actually be a good idea just to pull the head off and see if there's water inside. But like I said earlier on, at the cost of a brand new engine, you know, there's no point in spending the time doing anything with that. So what I'll do, put that down there, and then we'll look at what we've got left. Okay, so the exhaust is still not going to come through because the shock absorber is in the way. So I think what we'll do is we'll get the shock absorber off next, and then we'll look at the front forks. Okay, on the subject of the shock absorber, you can see here that the bottom bush is absolutely toast. Yeah, that's seen better days anyway. So yeah, it was well worth pulling apart anyhow. What I need to do is find the right size Allen head. What size is that? Is it that one? Yep. Okay, and on the back we've got, it appears to be a 13, yeah. And again, everything seems to be coming out quite nicely. So, once this shock absorber's out, obviously the swing arm will collapse on itself, but the exhaust will come out as well. We'll cover the nut off the floor in a second. Let me get this bolt out of here. And there we go. And again, same at the top. Off. It's just a case of pulling the bolt out. There we go. There's a little shock absorber. Yeah, there's absolutely But yeah, there's no needle rollers or anything in that. It's literally just a couple of bushes. But now we've got that out, we should be able to remove this bad boy. There we go. There is the exhaust off. So now she's going to sit down like so. It's sitting to one side because the side stand is still on. So let me whip her over. I've got the cable caught in top. And there we go. So we can take the side stand off. It's quite loose anyway. So yeah, and then we'll look at the getting the swing arm off. We'll just there's just a bolt with a nut on the end, a long one, and then we'll pull the swing arm out. There we go. Again, I'm sure that is. Again, these side stands can be easily replaced. That's about £3. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so now we're in a position to get the swing arm off. I think that's about 13. Nope, wrong. 12, and probably the same on the other side. $14 on the other side, so 12 this side, 14 on the other side. This little chain, I think it's like an 8mm chain, just held together with a you know, a rapid split link, but I can't even see it because it's so rusty. Absolutely no idea where it is, but once the swing arm's off, it'll come apart anyway. There we go. There is the chain. There's the chain. Yeah, one of these links will be a split link. So there it is. There it is. We could have split it there, but I'm not even sure if that'll come apart. But that's absolutely scrap anyway. I'll keep hold of it for now, though, just in case I need to know the number of links or its thickness or anything like that. I believe it's an 8mm chain. And here's the rear swing arm. As you can see, there's a bit of corrosion on there, but nothing that won't clear up. Yeah, and again, there's no bearings in the swing arm either. It's literally just rotates around the bolt. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing in there, nothing at all. So when we put it back together, I'll make sure there's plenty of grease in there. All I need to do now really on that is remove the brake caliper. And the brake caliper is that size, I think. Yep. And there we go. There's the brake caliper. It's got a couple of washers behind it. What I'll do, I think I'll just stick the bolt into that, because the caliper carrier I will probably need to use again. I just need to split the caliper off of that carrier, but I'll do that later. No need to do that now. And again, obviously this cable will get replaced because it's absolutely toast. So pop that down there as well. Okay, all we got left on the frame now is the foot pegs and the forks. So the foot pegs, literally just a clevis pin. I'll just pop them off. It's literally just an old rusty clevis pin or split pin, however you want to call it, but it came out quite easy. And they don't appear to be bent or anything, so I'll keep them together. And again on this side, clevis. And likewise, that seems to be in decent nick, and again that will clean up as well. So now all we've got left now is the forks. Let's get the mud guard removed, which looks to be a 10mm. 10mm nuts holding it in place. There's a Allen headed bolt on the other side. Typically, two doesn't quite fit. See if that one does. There we go. One of the nuts. The other one. Now those two little Allen headed bolts should come out. These have got a couple of little rubber grommets underneath them. There we go. Right. Leaves and bits of rubbish. Okay, so to get the forks off, I think what we need to do is, there's a nut on the bottom there, and then there's a long bolt that goes through the headstock, but to get that out we're going to have to take the handlebars off here, which isn't a massive issue, because they'll come off fairly easily, I think, provided that these come out. Which they are. The first one certainly did. Yeah. Try and go these front two. So far so good. There we go. Right, what we need to do is just split them four out, and then that's the bars off. There we are. there's the bars removed, and as you can see, they're absolutely rotten, so they're for the scrap as well. And again, a new pair, about, I think it's about 12 quid for a set of bars. Okay, so now we've got them off, we can see the bolt at the top, and then obviously the nut on the bottom, underneath the bottom yoke. So we just need to get the right size spanner, which I reckon is going to be 17. No, not 17. Let's try that one. Size about 15, right, so it's a 16. Okay, I don't have a 16 in this kit, so I have to go and get one out of my other kit, and the top is 12 mil. So we're good for the top. Just need to, yeah, just need to get a 16 mil spanner out of my main kit, and then we can get this out. Okay, turned out it's actually a 17 after all, it wasn't a 16. Right, anyway. Let's whip it out. I don't think I need to undo these. I'm fairly sure once this whole bolt comes out, the whole assembly will slide out as one. I may be wrong, but we'll find out. If I do need to undo them, I need to undo them. It's one of them. There's the nut. There's the bolt. And there's the forks. And that's the entire fork assembly removed in a oneer. There's a little washer, there's another one there. So there's a washer at the bottom and the top, which I'll have to remember when I reassemble it. But yeah, these forks, as you can see, are absolutely solid. They're yeah, they're fit for the scrapper, and it doesn't even look like they're rebuildable anyway, because the top, as you can see, there is a hex head in there, but there's a weld on it, so it doesn't look like they're able to be pulled apart anyway. But like I said before, at the price it is for a new set, it's not even worth wasting my time on. Okay, so get these thrown to one side, and then we'll have a quick look at the headstock. But yeah, we're pretty much there now. Okay, let's just pop the two washers on there, keep them together. Right, in the headstock there are actually a couple of bearings, although they're actually solid. So the whole fork assembly was actually turning just around the bolt. These bearings aren't moving at all, so they'll get replaced. They're only cheap anyway, just a case of measuring the inside-outside diameters, and obviously the width once we get them out. In fact, what I'll do, I'll probably get them out in a moment. It won't take too long. I'll just whack them out with the drift. But other than that, there's the frame, and structurally it's actually not too bad. It just needs a good clean, and it'll probably paint up quite nicely. It looks like there's a little bit of damage around the headstock where that ignition key was, so I'll probably clean that up and dress it up a little bit. But yeah, other than that, that's about it. Right, let's have a look at these. Let's have a look at these bearings in the headstock and get them out. Right then, I'm going to try and drift these bearings out. I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. So if it doesn't work, I've got some blind bearing pullers which will probably do the job. Actually, it worked pretty easily. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's absolutely, it's not spinning freely anyway, so I need to get a new one of those. And same again this way around. I need to kind of there we are. They came out pretty well. Don't even know where that one went, I'll get it later. But yeah, there we are. There's the headstock free, and you can see there's a little ridge just there where the bearing sits, just in there. So yeah, when we come to pressing them back in, I'll get some replacements, and yeah, they'll be fair. Probably the easiest headstock bearings in the world to fit. So yeah, now there we are. That is the whole bike stripped apart. There's no point in stripping the engine down because I'm going to replace it anyway. But this needs obviously the paint removing, rust cleaning off, repainting, rust treating, all that good stuff. So I'll do that off the camera, and then obviously the next time we have a look at this bike, I'll be putting new parts back on it. I'm not going to do it all in one go. I'll do it in little dribs and drabs, just as an entertainment piece more than anything. Obviously this bike isn't a technological marvel by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a little fun toy for use in the garden. But yeah, hopefully you had fun watching this. It's a nice little thing, and thanks to Mick, who my buddy Mick, who donated this little bike for this project. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. Don't forget to comment. Hit that subscribe button as well if you like what you see for more content from this channel. And I'll see you all again for the very next video. Take care, guys. Bye now.